The quest for the B-League title begins today as we've got the Sana NEOPHOENIX up against the RYUKYU Golden Kings. This is the semifinals for the B-League Championship. We'd like to welcome everybody to the Hamamatsu Arena, our venue here today. We got a packed crowd, and why not? Two of the most popular teams are facing off here, and both these squads 2 wins away from making it through the finals. As we take a look at the clashes, it's Utsunomiya Brex up against the Chiba Jets on one side, and the match you're witnessing here, the RYUKYU Golden Kings up against the San and NEOPHOENIX. The NEOPHOENIX finished the regular season record with a 47-12 card, while the Golden Kings right behind them at 46-14. So just actually 1 win separating these two squads. That's how close these two teams are as far as their depth, their talent, and their desire are for winning the championship. Right now, the lineup of Coach Atsushi Ono. Number 1, Yante Maten. Number 2, David Nwaba from the NBA. They've got number 23, David Dudzinski. And they also have number 24, Ryusei Sasaki. Those are the main stalwarts, but they've got a lot of depth in this squad, a lot of shooting, a lot of tough defense, and that's why they're now title contenders. Actually, since Coach Ono has taken over here, Sanen has risen to the top. Unfortunately, the last couple of seasons, they've been able to make it to the finals. When I talk about the finals, I'm talking about the championship. So they've been able to make it to the playoffs, but unfortunately in the playoffs, not able to encounter the same success as they did during the regular season. They're hoping this is going to be the year. They're now starting to mature as a unit. And they feel they've got the perfect combination, especially now with David Nwaba as one of their world imports. They are 2 wins away from making it to the next stage. This a very short best-of-3 semi-final series, which means game number 1 absolutely important. There you can see their victories last week, winning by 3, and then in the second game winning a little bit more convincingly, winning that 93-84. Look at that deep 3 from Sota Ora. Sota's going to be one of the main stalwarts as well here. And the fans of the Sana NEOPHOENIX really hoping that this could be their year. That solidified their spot into the next round. But you see, Coach Ono has been there, done that, when he was still with the Chiba Jets. So he's not going to be happy until they finally wrest the title. On the other side, for Coach Daio Okitani, he's got number 4, Vic Lo, number 12, Kevi Aluma, number 14, Ruichi Kichimoto. Unfortunately, still not in the lineup. He wasn't available last week, and again, still not available today. They have number 45, Jack Cooley, and also Alex Kirk is their man in the middle. Alex Kirk is a naturalized Japanese at 33 years of age. He's going to try to showcase his wares here. There's Jack Cooley. This is a match made in heaven. 2 of the brightest coaches in the B-League, and also 2 of the deepest and most talented rosters in all of Japan. But it's not all about the world imports. There's Alex Kirk, because they have a lot of players that can actually really contribute, like Shota Onodera, number 34. Also, number 18, Masahiro Waki. They've also been relying on Hayate Arakawa, number 10. Let's see just how crucial their contributions are going to be. Not to mention Tatsuya Ito. Ito, one of the top point guards for quite a while here in Japan. At 30 years of age, 5'8". Usually start for his squad. Right now we take a look at their last two games, which got them the two wins in the quarterfinals. They won that one by 8, and then they won their second game by 18. Huge win there by the Golden Kings. But the thing is, everything back to zero here for both these squads. And in game number 1, critical to get it as quickly as possible.
So ではここで本日のレフェリー並びにサポートスタッフをご紹介します。クルーチーフ大川典人、ファーストアンパイア加納康平、セカンドアンパイア北澤達也。
Very nice look there at Coach Dayo Kitani. Never frowning, but always serious. He has also been around the block, has won a championship. So he knows how to get to the pillar. He knows how to get to the top of the mountain. And a lot of the players for the Golden Kings know as well. A lot of fans have traveled all the way from Okinawa to be able to support their squad. Of course, that support pales in comparison to all the fans of the San and NEOPHOENIX right here at the Hamamatsu Arena. Now we got the starters for the visiting squad. Number 4, Vic Law. Number 18, Masahiro Waki. Number 34, Shota Onodera. We talked about him. Number 45, Cooley. And number 53, their naturalized player, Alex Kirk. That is a formidable 5. There you can see, in the middle of your screens, the man they're missing, Ryuichi Kishimoto. Now before game number 1 in the semifinals, let's enjoy the fanfare prepared by our hosts, the San and NEOPHOENIX. Great comparative stats that you see here between both these squads, and you can see why they are one of the best, some of the best, two of the best that we have in the league here. Just about even in all departments except for Sanen shooting just under 70% from the free throw line. That could be a concern, especially in the late stage of the game. Shooting close to 80% are the Golden Kings. That's a good sign for their squad. Sanen and Ryukyu have actually faced each other since 2016-2017. And we have Sanen winning 3 games. The Ryukyu Golden Kings have won 19. But of course, those numbers could be a little bit skewed because Ryukyu has always had a powerhouse squad. In the early days of the Sanen NEOPHOENIX, they were still in the rebuilding stage. Those are the early years of 30 Ravenna. And in fact, the final year of 30 Ravenna, they were able to already make it to the playoffs. And proof of that is this season, Sanen and Ryukyu have played 2 games. Sanen won 1, Ryukyu won 1. Sanen is the top scoring team at 90.8. That's actually the best record in the B.LEAGUE. And the best new record, actually. Ryukyu is second though, at 85.5. So obviously, you know that these two squads have players that can really score. Ryukyu is 9th in terms of defense at 76.4, and Sanen is at very close, 79.5. Here we go as we call in the starting 5. And there you saw our 3 officials handling proceedings here for game number 1. We've got referee Okawara, referee Kano, and referee Kitazawa. There you got the starters on your screens once again. Maten, Yoshii, Dudzinski, Sasaki, and Kashiwagi. For the NEOPHOENIX, on the other side, for the Golden Kings, the visiting squad here, they've got Law, Waki, Onadera, Uli, and Kirk. This has got to be 40 minutes of brilliance from both these squads if they want to be able to get a win here in game number 1. That's how evenly matched they are. Keep the mistakes to a minimum. A while ago you saw Coach Ono on your screens now, Coach Oketani. And we are ready to get underway for game number 1. The quest for the finals begins here. Semifinals, here we go! Law with possession here first. Tries to get all the way to the cup. His layup will be short. Dudzinski will pick up that defensive board. That is going to be very critical for the squad of the San and NEOPHOENIX, is keep the offensive rebounds of Jack Cooley to a minimum. That's what he loves to do. That's what he has really made a living out of. And Jack Cooley will pick up his first personal foul there. Keeping off the boards is easier said than done. 3 from the wing, no. Trying to run. There's going to be a quick foul there. In transition, that'll be called on Yoshii. Yoshii is a tall individual at 6'5". He's in there primarily as an import stopper. His job's not going to be easy. Inside to Onodera. Those are big shoes to fill, talking about no Kishimoto. Alex Kirk, first attempt is not going to work, and again Jack Cooley, no chance for the offensive rebounds. So Sanin has done their job. Sasaki with a 3. That's what he loves to do, stop and pop. He can also get to the cup. He's got exceptional speed. Turnover here for the Golden Kings. We talked about keeping all of those turnovers to a minimum. That's the first here for RYUKYU. Sasaki once again gets to the middle. Short on that layup though. Last line of defense was Kirk. That's a 7-footer. Let's see if they try to go to that mismatch with him and Dudzinski. Down low. Almost a turnover. Cooley goes inside. That's too easy for the 7-footer. Always around there at the dunker spot. First basket for the Golden Kings. Immediately you see the height discrepancy. Sasaki will go to the wing. Dudzinski, that's his specialty. 3-pointer rattles out though. Another possession. Yoshii says, let's reset. Sasaki. The foul will be called, stopping the action. That's going to be on Waki. First on Waki, second team foul for the Golden Kings. Almost 2 minutes gone in the opening period. Quick substitution as Dai Nemoto comes in, the 5'10" Spitfire. Only 22 years of age, already thrown into the fire here in the playoffs. Law. They see that mismatch there and Sasaki can't do anything but foul Cooley. That'll be the second team foul of the NEOPHOENIX. Nice block there. So Cooley saying, okay, I can't do anything on the offensive boards. Let's play some D. We go to Law. Law is a 3-level scorer. The medium range, a little bit too strong. Another good rebound there by Dudzinski. He's stopping those two behemoths, Cooley and Kirk, from any offensive rebounds. And that's why Sanin still up by 1. In the land of the Giants, he'll have to kick that one out. Matten will bring it closer. Push shot not going to work. You can see the way Cooley and Kirk can really lord it over the boards. Kirk almost lost it. It's still with Law. Law from 17 feet. Nothing. That's the third rebound for David already. And they'll try to push. Yoshii still handling it. Gets it to Sasaki. Sasaki looking for space. Open shot, but the youngster didn't want to have anything to do with it. Shot clock's down to 6. Yoshii will launch. There was definitely contact. Kirk doesn't like the call, but you've got to give him space to land. Watch it here. He closed out and closed out hard. And that's why coaches will sometimes stress, try to show, but don't challenge. He jumped up into the air, got into his airspace, and Yoshii not able to land properly. But Yoshii, not really the best of shooters from 3 and from the free throw line. That's why Kirk probably should have actually just been present right in front. 3 free throws now for the NEOPHOENIX. The second goes down. That could establish another 3-point lead, but you can see a low-scoring affair, and that's expected. Not to mention maybe some early jitters from these players. This is the semifinals. This is actually the very first time San-En has made it to this side of the competition. Yoshii makes both. After missing the first, lead is back up to 3. Here's David Nwaba. Nwaba is a super athlete. Nika Williams also inserted into the lineup. Nika Williams, a veteran of 37 years old, but he is 6'8". Here comes Sota Ora. He has played so solidly for the San-En NEOPHOENIX, especially in the absence of Sasaki, who was out for about 20 games because of an injury. Big addition to the squad also is Tatsuya Ito on the other side, who brings a lot of depth to that backcourt. Kirk will try to bring it inside. Little sidestepping move. Gets away from the defense. Cuts that lead down to 1. They'll swing that ball around first. Let the defense work. They get it inside. Nika Williams was looking for a 3-point play. Those are the shots he's got to convert inside. Once again, you can see how quickly Sota Ora spotted him inside. Onodera caught in no man's land there. No way Sota Onodera at 6 foot flat can guard the 6'8" Nika Williams. These are free throws that the NEOPHOENIX need to be able to make, especially, we talked about at the top of the coverage, they're shooting below 70%. Williams, the veteran, that's what he can do. Get you points. He's also in there for defensive rebounding. Yoshiyuki Matsuwaki checking in for the first time. That's number 15. He's a dead shot from 3. Not to mention the fact that he's also there as the secondary ball handler. Goes to his big man, and Kirk scores again. The moment he's inside that shaded area, count the basket. Here's Nwaba, and he uses athleticism. Inside, once again looking for Nika Williams. He's got 4 points. The RYUKYU Golden Kings already in the penalty though. Let's see if the San-En NEOPHOENIX can take advantage of that situation. The pass goes awry. Not necessarily a bad foul by Ito, but at the same time, I just mentioned it, they're in the penalty, so that's going to mean 2 free throws for the NEOPHOENIX. Some chance for San-En to increase this lead. It has been at 3 for quite a while. Our third officials just checking if there might have been an unsportsmanlike foul, but they say that was a regular duty foul. Now Dudzinski on the line for 2 shots. Second coming up. And it's now a 5-point advantage at 11-6. First 2 points for David. He's got 3 boards though. Jack Cooley's out. Active in offensive rebounding. That we can count on. There's another turnover. Dudzinski, that's his specialty. Back rims that one though. Vic Law couldn't control that long rebound. But again, if you're the San Diego Phoenix, you like them getting quickly into transition. Looking for that 3. Working on the perimeter once again. Here's Sotaora. Well, he came into contact a little bit there with Alex Kirk. Tried to sell the call. There was no call. He fell out of bounds. That was all his doing. That happened right in front of Coach Ono. He's not happy. The referee say, this is the playoffs. Nothing cheap. There's another steal. Another turnover. And Nwaba inside. Skies and slams. We talked about his athleticism. He showed it there. And it is now a 7-point advantage here for the San Diego Phoenix. Chance of defense here from the fans at the Hamamatsu Arena. Clearly contact there. It's gonna drop. Once again, Ito showcasing his breakneck speed. And up against the youngster there, made sure there was contact from Nemoto. Coming off that timeout, talk about executing perfectly. That's that lead down to 5, could be 4. First personal foul going to be called on Dai. Quick stint on the floor for Matsuwaki. Hits the bench as Arakawa is in. The lead is down to 4. Matten getting ready to check back in after a brief rest. So Dudzinski should be getting his first breather. They go to Nwaba. Nwaba tries to sneak that one through. Comes up just short. Ito once again. Goes to Law. Law with a jumper. Hanging in the air. Will come up short though. Nwaba in the open court. This is where he excels. And he gets away for 2. Coach Ono asking for a foul. Begging. for a 3-point play, but once again, the referee say play on. Foul's going to be called there on Nwaba. That foul of Nwaba, his first, will be the 4th team foul as well for Sanen. Yu will check in. Tatsumi Yu, number 15, standing 6'6", has been very crucial for the campaign of the NEOPHOENIX here this season. So Matten's back in together with Cooley. And here's another one of their stars, Kazuma Tsuya. Capable of hitting the outside shot. And he plays tough defense as well. I told you these two teams are stacked. They go inside, Jack Cooley, up and under move. He's got an array of moves inside, almost impossible to stop. He's now on the board, cuts that lead down to 4. Who's the foul going to be on? It might be on Tatsuya, that's why he's not happy. Well, Liante Maten was saying, I was just heading down court. So that's going to be the 2nd foul of Ito. He'll have to be replaced. And free throws once again coming in for the Sanen NEOPHOENIX. Maten wasn't happy with that release, as you could see. That body language. But it dropped. Actually, Ante Maten is 3rd in terms of block shots at 1.3 per game. He's there to anchor their defense together with Nwaba and even Tatsumi Yu. 2 free throws will bring the lead back up to 6. Approaching the 3-minute mark of the opening period. And a foul's going to be called there, and you want to stay in step with the ball handler, but at the same time, you don't want to come up with a foul which will send your opponent to the line. There was clearly a push. There's another push. There were 3 pushes. Well, the referee actually gave him so many opportunities to lay off, but he kept going. So he'll pick up his first personal foul. Waki makes the first free throw. First points for Masahiro. He's got a throng of fans. Hard to believe he's just 22 years old. They expect big things for him, not just for the Golden Kings, but even for Japanese basketball. Could be an international player for them soon. In the ball game now, Shuto Sakihama. That's him with the basketball. Late addition to this squad. They're hoping to add depth. Quick basket inside. Check that was Shogo Taira who checked in. Number 47. Almost to the steal. But they recover. Ante Maten inside. Try to get away from the shot blocking ability of Cooley. Will overshoot. 3 on the way. Yes! And just like that, the Golden Kings on top by 1, and a timeout will have to be called here by Coach Atsushi Ono. That was a quick reply there by the NEOPHOENIX. Back up by 2. 2018 is our tally. Final 2 minutes of period number 1. And look for space on the outside. Go inside. Jumper not going to work. Again, that's good boxing out. Jack Cooley has not been able to get his hands on any offensive rebound. Yoshii will get fouled. His attempt was blocked. The foul will come first. There from Taira. You gotta love the secondary defense of Kevi Aluma to make sure there was no three-point play. The 2 free throws once again here for the NEOPHOENIX. The Phoenix have gone to the line 9 times already, making 8. Now are 9 out of 10. They're shooting 90%. That's a far cry from what happened all throughout the regular season. So they've worked on that deficiency, which means the coaching staff doing its homework. And just when I said that, they're going to come up with another miss. 3-point lead enjoyed by Sanendo. Aluma will bring it down. These world imports are so well-rounded. Taira will give it up. Arakawa. I'm sure he's trying to look for another 3. Long 2. Rattles in. First basket there for Aluma. Under a minute remaining. You're in the first quarter. And Nwaba hits a 3. He's another one of those 3-level scorers. You cannot leave him that wide open. Already with 10 points coming off the bench to lead his team. Almost 50% of their production. Aluma inside against Yoshii. And the push is going to be called on Hirotaka. So free throws coming up here. Yoshii's heading to the bench right now because he's got 2 personal fouls. Nika Williams in. That's more height. Maybe not as much mobility, but at the same time, at 6'8", he is 3 inches taller than Yoshii. Aluma on the line. Kevi Aluma is actually 9th in terms of 3-point shooting percentage. You know he can light it up. He's shooting at a 39.7%. Anything close to 40 is above average. Aluma did his job. And here comes the starter, Vic Law back. Time for one possession each. Sasaki also back at his position at the 1 up against Taira. Sasaki turns the corner, goes up high, and Nwaba puts up another 2. That was actually a 3. Didn't go. Opportunity here to tie things up. But Law wants the lead. Doesn't get it. Vic Law got a good look. Could have given his squad the 1-point lead, but after 10 minutes of play, it's the San and NEOPHOENIX up by 2, 24-22.
B.LEAGUE チャンピオンシップ2024-25サンネオフェニックスチャンピオンシップ特別スポンサーシャーを紹介します。シェーピング&リングス OSG 優れた操作フィングの実現マザーさんアスリート服ワンピースサイクルトピー工業プレカファンドテクノロジー宮川工機緑あふれるクリーンな日常世界に葉山工業ウェアのサプライヤーエバザルいい場所いい未来で藤代建設ブラックサンダーでおなじみ留学センターその他にも多くのパートナーの皆様にご支援いただいております。皆様レギュラーシーズン続きチャンピオンシップもありがとうございます。第1クォーター、フェルスコールスタートです。さあ、みんなこれで
Another possession here for the San and NEOPHOENIX, and a foul is going to be called there. No foul, they say. Or will there be a foul? Another long rebound. Kind of battle for it there. They get it to Nika. And Jack Cooley will pick up what I consider a cheap foul, but that's going to be his second. He's going to have to hit the bench. Dire development here with the Golden Kings. He's a vital cog. And Nwaba to the wing. Shot clocks down to 4. And Nwaba forces that one up. Comes up short. Arakawa trying to set himself up. He'll give it up. Good hands from Sotaora. He was on an island against Vic Law. That's advantage, Golden Kings. With that swipe. Arakawa. Nice find inside. Kirk gets denied there by Nika Williams. Great defensive stop there by Nika. Up against a 7-footer. Sasaki launches and hits. Lead back up to 5. That's a second 3 here. (27-22). Taira still in the backcourt. Tatsuya Ito, remember, has 2 personal fouls. They can't use him too much, as Sota will pick up foul number 1. Pretty good defense once again by Aluma there, as you can see. Stop the forward progress of Sotaora. Nothing inside. And here come the Golden Kings. They release a player up front. And Waki delivers an easy layup. Rocky now with 4 points. You can see a lot of banging being allowed here. Sneaking away for 2. Sasaki. He's got 5 points in the contest. Gonna go to the wing. Biclo will go inside to his big man. See if they have the advantage there. But twice doing his job there was Nico Williams, but offensive rebound by Vic Law. Vic usually operates on the outside. This time, went inside. And battled for that rebound, plus a foul. Watch it there once again. The foul might be given to Nico Williams there on the grab. Still waiting for confirmation. It is on Nico Williams, his first. Yante Matin will check back in together with Yoshii. First free throw for Law. Was good, so is the second. Just a 2-point deficit right now faced by the Golden Kings. Ora at the controls. We'll go to the wing. Yoshii. Back to Sota. Sota for 3. Hierarchy short. Yes! Knocks that one down. Ora now with 6 points. Arakama picked up his dribble. Goes to Aluma. Back to Arakama. Extra passing. Ends up with Waki. Waki back rims that one. Yante collects. David Dudzinski is now on the floor once again. Part of the starting unit for Coach Ono. Strong flip, not gonna work. Didn't hit iron, so shot clock continues to run. Dudzinski, no! They've had so many opportunities this time on the floor, but they're 0 for 3. Law to the corner. Extra pass. Aluma for 3. Yes! That is one individual you cannot leave open. We talked about it earlier. Aluma is 9th in terms of 3-point accuracy. Dudzinski, one of the leaders there as well, knocks down a 3 of his own. And a timeout will now have to be called by Coach Dayo Kitani. He says he is not happy with their defensive alignment. Let's see if Coach Dayan is now going to be happy with the defense his squad's going to show. Hence that last time out. But first, they got the basketball. Law. Two-man game with Aluma. Forcing the three there. That was really not going to get called. That was clear. Referee said, you were forcing the action, you were forcing the contact. No chance for a whistle there. Still a 5-point lead for the Sana NEOPHOENIX. Sasaki. Hesitation move, enters inside and gets it stripped by Aluma. Aluma on the outside up against Dudzinski. That's clearly a foul. Not quite sure why he might be able to take a stab like that. Foul's going to be called on Kashiwagi. Shinsuke Kashiwagi. 42 years old and still being relied upon here by Coach Ono. Well, we talked about him at 42 years old. This, he said, is his final season. So he would like to end his final season with a championship. Can he get it? We'll find out. Not just today, but they need to be able to win today and tomorrow to make it to the last dance, which will happen next weekend. Kazuma Tsuya is in as well. He played in the first period. And here comes the super athlete, David Nwaba. 3-point lead for the NEOPHOENIX, and they got possession. Out of movement up high. Probing the defense. Shot clock though is down to 3. Tsuya had to put that one up. At least it was an attempt. Well, Sasaki said it was now or never, or else it would have been a shot clock violation. Official timeout here. And these two squads have been slugging away from the get-go. Final 5 minutes of the first half. It has been a good game number 1 so far here between the San NEOPHOENIX and the RYUKYU Golden Kings. The cream has really risen to the top here. On the other side, it's Unsunime Brex up against the Chiba Jets. Final 4 teams here this season. Up and under move. Onodera will come up short. Picked up by Yoshii. Now Sasaki says, let's set things up. Yoshii to the wing. Nwaba back on top. Again, using a lot of movement. They try to blitz. Inside, Yante Maten gets stripped. Aluma was right there. Aluma inside. That's a wild shot. But coming out of nowhere, once again, Vic Law. That's his second offensive rebound. With the put back there, that's going to cut the lead down to just 1. Now Maten from the outside. Quick flip, not going to work. Gets it back though. In terms of foot speed, Yante Maten has the advantage. Lead is back up to 3. They go to Alex. Alex can hit that shot, not that time though. Maten says he got pushed. That was really just his momentum carrying him. Watch it. He got it there. Rocky was actually trying to get out of the way. Yante's not happy. Sotaora back. So far Nwaba, the only player in double digits among all the players from both squads with his 10 points. 8 points scored by Waki. Nico Williams will be called for another foul. That will put them in the penalty. RYUKYU has done a very good job taking care of their fouls, just with 1. Foul's going to be called on Nwaba. Free throws coming up here for Vic Law. There was a shove. Some might say not enough, but again, that's really at the discretion of the referees. Law takes care of the first. Now his team just down by 2. All the fans you can see of the Golden Kings praying for these free throws. It's only the first half. You can see just how involved they are. Sotaora back. Yante Maten as well. That was a brief rest, 30 seconds. It's Maten and Dudzinski. Their top scorer, Nwaba, on the bench. Maten will try to attack. Might have been a slight nudge there from Alex. That's going to mean 2 free throws nonetheless here for Yante Maten. Watch it here. Takes the handoff. Quickly goes downhill. There was the contact. Alex Kirk now with 2. Jack Cooley with 2. That's why we haven't seen too much of Cooley here in the second period. Expect Alex Kirk to start the third period though. So Aluma is in. Both free throws down for Matin. Now it's a total of 6 points to go with his 4 boards. Budzinski also with 5 points and 4 rebounds. A chance of defense here. Trying to steal it from the side, yes! A counter steal though by Law. Another chance right back to defense after they got possession. Onodera. Left open. Puts up a long one. And Tsuya there. Just hugging Waki will mean 2 free throws. Well, he was face guarding. Referee makes his point. Tsuya turns around. And we got 2 free throws coming up here for the Golden Kings. Waki has been very effective from the free throw line. Look at the free throw numbers. Actually, San NEOPHOENIX have been there 13 times, making 11. On the other side, the Golden Kings not far behind. 11 opportunities, 11 made. They're at 100%. Free throw number 12 coming up. We touched on that during the pregame. That's the first miss. Law able to control. Free throws are going to be very critical. Matin gets down, picks it up. Will lose it though. Waki scores and ties things up. That is our first deadlock in the ball game. Waki, 11 points so far in the contest, and we are all knotted up at 39. Final 2 minutes of the first half. We are all knotted up at 39. Budzinski back on the floor. Matin makes a quick spin. Well, the help from Matsuaki was a little late. Matsuaki with a swipe down will get called for the foul there. That'll be the third team foul now for the Golden Kings. 2 free throws for Yante. Screams of Yante from the fans here as he makes the first. The biggest lead for the San NEOPHOENIX so far here in this half was at 7. That was at 13-6. RYUKYU once led by a point at 18-17. Matten makes both. Matten now with 8 points. Matsuwaki will launch from deep. He's got that range and hits. And the lead is back here to the Golden Kings at 42-41. We can't sleep on Matsuwaki. Sanan did, and they paid a price. Quick basket inside. Nice find by Sasaki. And Matten delivers. Now in double digits. Law puts one up from deep and hits another one. Back-to-back deep threes for the Golden Kings. And this is now their biggest lead at 2, 45-43. Such an explosive squad, and they have not been able to utilize Jack Cooley because of foul trouble. Matten flips it up. Not gonna drop. Well, takes it down. Matsuwaki, you can see the defense now extending on him, which they should have done from the get-go. Law, a little hesitation move. Short. Forces that one up. No. Matten clears. Final 14 seconds. And a foul going to be called there on Aluma. That's actually a good foul. Check that. That's Vic Law. So that's going to put his team in the penalty, but with just 12 seconds remaining. That's a good foul because now for the final 12 seconds, they can actually set up their D. Everybody thought that they were going to waste the time. Quickly they go inside, and a chance for Matten to tie things up here with these free throws. That's actually very good strategy. Not to mention the fact that that was a breakdown in defense. There was still a huddle by the Golden Kings up high, and the ball was already given. I was able to score and steal 2 points. Matten makes the first. Looking for one more to tie. He'll misfire in the second. 1 point lead enjoyed here by RYUKYU. They want more. They'll overshoot there. 2 quarters are done here in game number 1 of the semifinals. And it's a 1 point lead held by the visiting squad as the Golden Kings lead 45-44.
RESONA グループ B.LEAGUE クォーターファイナル2024-25サウスニューフェニックスホームゲームサウスニューフェニックス 本日のハーフタイムショーですね、我らはファイナルアナウンスメントパフォーマンスをお届けします。ぜひ会場の皆様ですね、ペンライトでデビューしてハーフタイムを一緒に盛り上げましょう。阿部喜、バイユ、ワタ、タイ、コトビ、バックペンアフター、リーダー、キャプテンアルミー、コトロ、Thank you, Fire Go! 皆さんの大きな拍手をお送りください。 さあ、あなたの応援がですね、選手の力にということで、B リーグでは応援動画投稿キャンペーンをですね、実施しております。皆さん、スクリーンに映っている QR コードをぜひアクセスしていただきまして、応援メッセージ動画をね、投稿して、クラブの勝利を後押ししましょう。ぜひ皆さんね、ご参加お待ちしております。
As you enjoy the highlights here of the first 2 periods of play, so many great plays from both these squads. Vic Law there with a putback. That was actually his second putback in the first 2 periods. Look at this deep 3 from Vic Law. He's got that in his arsenal. As we take a look now at the numbers. Just a 1-point lead enjoyed by the visitors. 2-point shooting, just about even. But look, the big discrepancy here was the 57% shooting from deep from the Golden Kings. 4 out of 7 as compared to 6 out of 15. Too many attempts for the NEOPHOENIX, but they still made 2 more in terms of free throws. That's why we've had not really a good flow to this ball game. A lot of free throws for both these squads. 17 given to the NEOPHOENIX, making 14. 11 given to the Golden Kings as they made 11 there. So 14 out of 17, 11 out of 12 for the Golden Kings. In terms of taking care of the basketball, we talked about that being very important. And both teams just with 5 turnovers each. Looking at more pertinent numbers, looking at the rebounding figures, just about even. The Golden Kings almost always out-rebound their opponents. But right now, they rebounded Sanen by just 1. 21-20. In terms of assists, Sanen has 2 more, 14 as compared to 12. As we have the key player matchup, obviously Vic Law on the floor for 17 minutes. He just sat for 3 minutes. We'll have the better numbers as compared to Yoshii, who was on the floor for about half of the first half. Leading scorers for both these squads. 11 points for Waki, 10 for Lo, and 7 for Aluma. 11 points for Yante Matin, and Waba with 10 coming off the bench, and 6 there for Sota Ora. Also add the 5 of Dudzinski and Mika Williams with 4 points in his very short stint on the floor. He's there primarily for defensive purposes, but able to score 4 as well. He also had 1 big block on Alex Kirk. Scoring leaders on the other side, we talked about the top 3, Waki, Lo, and Aluma. Alex Kirk contributed 6, and Tatsuma Io. Fortunately for Ito, as you can see there, just with 3 points, but he was hobbled by early foul trouble. After about 2 minutes on the floor, had to be rested. Definitely anybody's ball game here. It's a low-scoring affair at the Hamamatsu Arena. Coach Ono and his squad have made adjustments as well. Ooh, Kashiwagi starting the second half. So Coach Ono, going into experience, he actually also has the 6'9" Atsuya Ota on his bench. He needs more veteran leadership on the floor. Jack Cooley, the flip, no. Cooley just with 2 points. And more importantly, Jack Cooley has been limited in terms of his rebounding, especially offensive boards. They look inside. Yante Matin flips it up and through. Wow. He says, that was a magical shot. Talk about pulling a bunny out of your hat. Watch this here. Floop. And you can see the face of Aluma on the bench. How did that go through? Well, it did. Now 1 point lead for Yante and company. Third personal foul on Alex Kirk. So Kirk might have to be replaced here. So there's Alex Kirk. After just 30 seconds on the floor, having to be replaced. That's huge. That's a 7-footer that you're bringing out. And you bring in Shogo Taira, who's 5'7". Taira though will come in, put up a jumper and miss. Not too many second chances this entire afternoon for the Golden Kings. Yoshii for 3. Bang! 3-and-D player. Doesn't take too many threes, but he will if you leave him that wide open. Leads back up to 5. Watch his last piece of action. That was clear. You just can't put a forearm in your opponent like that. Not to mention the fact that it was also sold very well by Sasaki. Taira apologizes. Cannot afford any lapses, not in the semifinals. Suddenly the lead is back up to 5. And Raba starting out for his squad. That's in place of Dudzinski. Couple of jab steps. They're missing that 3. Nice basket inside by Waki. Taking it coast to coast. Now with 13 points, he is the leading scorer for his squad. That's not a sight you want to see. If you're a fan of the NEOPHOENIX, Yante Matin will head to the line. Check that, head to the bench. He's going to go to the end of the bench as his team works on him. And you can see they knock knees. The front of the knee of Jack Cooley hit the side of the knee of Yante Matin. We follow up on the development as we have Dudzinski back in. Dudzinski won't be able to get that. Yoshii puts up a jumper. That's going to drop. Basket and 1 opportunity here for Yoshii. He's got 8 points. So they're getting points from unlikely sources. Leads back up to 5. Could be 6 after this free throw. Is that going to be an Ito? If it is, that's going to be number 3. Ito's Tatsuya right in front of him. And very quickly. It is number 3 on Ito, and that's the 3rd team foul with only 2 minutes gone in the 3rd. Huge development. Almost a steal. Tremendous backcourt pressure being put on. Tatsuya goes around the world, finds Law. Law for 3, denied. Eye off the glass. No, Jack Cooley still to be able to get an offensive rebound, but he kept that one alive. And Vic Law will get another basket inside the shaded area off an offensive rebound. Sasaki will launch, come up short. Foul's going to be called on the youngster. That's Dai Nemoto. He was given about 3 minutes of burn in the first half. Let's see if we can start to get a better flow to this particular game. There's too many fouls. Inside, Cooley. Too deep. Had to give it back out. Onadera for three. No. That is exceptional boxing out done here by Dudzinski. Jack Cooley just can't find any space to operate. A little bit of a hesitation move. Sasaki delivers. Coach Oketani livid in the sidelines there. Foul will be called on Sasaki. And he's disappointed because he knows he's coming out with 2 fouls. Look at that move. Blows by the defense and gets the layup. 6-point advantage opened up here by the San NEOPHOENIX. Tatsuya. Sweeping shot. Wow. Now with 5 points. Well, they're keeping in the ball game despite the fact that he's got 3 personal fouls. Coach Dai now rolling the dice a little bit here. Sealed by David. Eventually gets it. So it's the 2 Davids on the floor. Open 3. Knocked down there by Nemoto. And he says he got clipped in the face as well. This matches their biggest lead, talking about the San NEOPHOENIX in the first half at 7 points. Sidestepping move, that might be a travel. It is. The defense just collapsed here in Vic Law, and he apologizes. Picked up his dribble there. 1, 2, 3. And 3 is all it takes. He's only allowed 2. A little bit of a lull here as they find the ball. Nemoto's got a hand outside. There he is. It's outside the baseline. Ota. Calling the shots here. Misfiring. Dudzinski's there. Gets denied, but David cleans up the miss. This is now the biggest lead in the ball game for the San NEOPHOENIX at 60-51, and a timeout definitely needed by the Golden Kings. Back to the action. Tatsuya gets inside. That's what they needed. They needed to score immediately, stop the bleeding. 7 points for Ito, and 7 points the deficit faced by RYUKYU. Ora gets around the defense, finds Enwaba. Dudzinski puts up a 3, yes! And the lead is now 10 at 63-53. 5 minutes gone in the third. Ito tries to answer back, gets it. Not wanting to challenge there was Aluma. High off the glass. That's a great layup. Waki doing so well for his squad today. Boy, the 20-year-old coming up big here in the semis. Easy pass. That's why you can see why Coach Ono is so high on Nemoto. The way he broke down the defense and set up his world import. Back up to a 10-point lead. The big question is, can Yante Maten get back into this ball game? That's going to be critical. Aluma scores. On the floor is Sota. He's still writhing in pain there. Sasaki just checking on his backcourt mate. They're double checking if he might have to be replaced. Looks like he's just trying to catch his wind though. Let's see what happened. Got it there off the pick. He got hit right on the rib cage though. Coach Ono doesn't like the situation. First of all is Sota. Is his sixth man coming off the bench. He gives them so much depth. Not to mention firepower from deep and court leadership. They felt that that should have been an offensive foul as well. Vic Law moved a little bit, ever so slightly. That's what he's talking about. Right there. They're not going to review that one though, but let's see first if Sota Ora can actually continue in this ball game. So far, two players fall in here. There was Atsuya Oto. Atsuya there trying to help his teammate. He's not actually dressed for competition, so he cannot be fielded in today. Looking at their submitted lineup. Yes, Atsuya is not available. As you look at the bench, at the end of the bench, supposed to be, you have Yante Maten there. He's not there yet. That's still a big concern. Which makes this game, number one, even more critical for them. They need to win this one if they're going to be short-handed for game number 2. Rocky will be called for a foul there, and that is going to put the Golden Kings in the penalty. Dudzinski really working so hard inside. Safely in. Rishi with the handoff. Sasaki now forced to come in a little bit earlier because of the injury of Sota Ora. Dudzinski puts up a prayer, no. Aluma jumping high for that one. cut into this lead even further. Trying to probe. Will be too strong on that three. Coming from Arakawa. He had 1-3 earlier in the first half. And Nwaba, back up high. Two-man game, Dudzinski. Yoshii, wide open. Bang! That was good rotation once again. 12 points in the contest for Yoshii. And the lead is 12. Check that, 11 at 68-57. BigLeague not happy. Well, BigLeague just trying to make his point clear that actually he did get hooked. Referee missed that one. These are the tricks of the trade. And Dudzinski got one over BigLeague. With that possession once again, already up by 11. And Nwaba will go inside. Dudzinski, baby hook works. 70-57 is our tally. They've opened up a 13-point lead. Easy slam there by Aluma. That was a breakdown in defense by the NEOPHOENIX. Ooh, a foul is going to be called there. That's going to be number 4 and Ito. That's going to mean free throws here. And definitely Ito will have to hit the bench. He's got 4. Yoshii's going to get the first one to drop. Getting the shooter's roll there. Yoshii now with 13 markers. He has 2 rebounds and 2 assists. Not to mention the fact that he is guarding one of the world imports of RYUKYU. Not the smoothest of free throws, but he'll make both. Lead back up to 13. 2.5 to be played in the third, and still an entire fourth quarter still to be disputed. They release Matsuwaki. Matsuwaki for 3. Ooh, that was halfway down. Matsuwaki has 1-3 already. Nice swipe by Arakama. No layup there. Sasaki thought he had the open lane. A lot of time still under shot clock. And Nwaba, short. Trying to challenge Alex Kirk there. And that was actually a good decision. But Alex, a wise individual. Now we'll try to score off this mismatch. Nice stab there by Dudzinski. And Nwaba in the open court. We'll wait for his teammates. Then Sasaki with the lead. Finds Tsuya. We're going to get a brand new 14 here. In Nwaba to Dudzinski. What patience here. Almost losing it was Sasaki. Shot clock's down to 4. 3. And Nwaba deep. No. That was a badly needed stop there by the Golden Kings. They could not fall any further than the 13. Here's Kirk. That should have been an easy 3-point play for Alex Kirk. Watch it here. His under-goal stab didn't stay down. Nico Williams getting there a fraction of a second late. 2 free throws coming up here for the big man. Short in the first. To the delight of the crowd. Nice look there at the coaching staff, and beside them, Ryuichi Kishimoto. Second will drop. Deficit still at 12. 7 points now here scored so far by Alex Kirk. Nico Williams setting that pick. Dudzinski inside. Nico Williams lost control of that one on the shot. They ran the play to perfection though. Everything but the basket. Vic Low. Low with the jumper. That's great defense. Gets it back. Alex Kirk can't hold on. Nico Williams doing his job. He's in there for rebounding. And Waba, floater. That's clearly short. Nico Williams gets hacked. Overshooting is in Nwaba. Boy, helter-skelter basketball now. Vic Law sidesteps. Aluma misses. That's not a good foul. That is a horrible foul from Arakama. I guess he didn't realize they were in the penalty. Not the best of possessions here in the final minute and a half from both these squads, missing from point-blank range. And then Arakawa with a poor foul. His first. But that's going to mean 2 free throws for David and Nwaba. Trying to give his team their biggest lead of the contest with these 2 free throws. Not going to happen though. (18 out of 22 free throws for the San NEOPHOENIX, 12 out of 14 for the Golden Kings. And Nwaba takes care of the second. He's got 13 points, and that is the spread enjoyed by their squad. So Yoshii comes back in. They want to make sure that Nwaba doesn't pick up another foul. Not to mention the fact that you're giving him extra rest here, which you're not quite sure if Yante Maten can be reinserted. He's at the end of the bench though. Final seconds. Inside, Waki. That's 2 free throws. The NEOPHOENIX actually had 1 more foul to give. They didn't use it. And so now they're going to give up free throws. Waki on the line. Waki so far with 15 points to go with 1 board and 3 dimes. He is their leading scorer. First, coming up, 5.5 seconds. Still here for the NEOPHOENIX. They're going to answer back. Third miss from the free throw line for the Golden Kings. 4 misses by the San NEOPHOENIX. Overshoots. Cooley. That's what he does. Offensive rebounding. The one time they weren't able to box him out properly, he made them pay. 11 points separating these 2 squads as we head into the 4th. Fourth quarter is upon us. Battle between the San NEOPHOENIX and the RYUKYU Golden Kings. This is game number 1 of their semifinal series. Dudzinski comes up short on that 3 attempt. They still lead by 11. But again, the question looming on the horizon for the NEOPHOENIX is the health of Yante Maten. Collided knees with Jack Cooley. They go to Cooley up high. Sets the pick. Law for 3. No. Alex Kirk. Still nothing. And a foul will be committed there by Nika Williams. And Nwaba not happy. But slowly but surely, the tall trees of the Golden Kings starting to do damage. There were 2 blocks, half a block each. But there was a foul there, Nika Williams. Sending Alex Kirk to the line. Makes the adjustment. He missed 2 earlier. Lead is still at 10. Could be brought down to a single digit. They're praying. And again, trying to make it real difficult there. Looks like he's going to get a replacement free throw here. But you can see the double team that they're doing on Jack Cooley. Nika Williams even face guarding him. Alex Kirk, a little bit of hesitation there, not shot, but he'll score the second free throw. He's got 9 points, and that is the deficit they're facing. Tuya with a handoff, and Nwaba. Almost a picked off pass. Nwaba will put up a deep 3 and hit! That's a huge one! 16 points now for David Nwaba. And he's got to come alive, especially if Yante Maten is not able to go in the second half. Still no move on Yante Maten at all. Aluma inside, gets the layup. Aluma now with 13 markers. The lead is still at 10. Sasaki up high. And Nwaba battles inside. No foul called. Player still down. Wacky, early 3, no. Jack Cooley just can't get any offensive rebounds. Wacky will be called for a foul there. And Aluma, this time, holding on to his ankle. So already 1 fallen world import on the San NEOPHOENIX side. Let's see what happened here. He came down and awkward landing on that ankle. He's now going to hobble to the bench. Wow. That just might even things up here. Almost 2 minutes gone. In the fourth, possession still the red of San N. So now possibly 2 players, 1 from each side, doubtful for tomorrow. Quick move, Yoshii gets stopped. Nice defense from Waki. Waki looking for space. 2-man game. Puts it down, Cooley. Just found no space whatsoever to operate. Step back 3. And they're going to call a foul here on Sasaki. Sticking a little too close. And there was no landing area for Arakama. So heading to the line is Hayate. Let's see how close he got. Oh, he jumped in. That's why coaches always say you jump straight up. Yes, you're not going to get the block, but you also will not be called for the foul. That's going to be number 3 on Sasaki. Another missed free throw here by the Golden Kings. That's miss number 5. They're shooting just above 70% now. During the regular season, they shot at 80%. Another miss. But Jack Cooley almost did an offensive rebound. Yes, he will get their team another possession. That is what they were worried about. That is what you don't want to happen if you're playing against Jack Cooley. Letting him get those extra possessions for his squad. Not to mention putbacks. Inside now to Jack. He will look to hand off. And then work his way inside the shaded area where he has made a living. Here's Kirk. Sidestepping move, will overshoot. Kirk gets away for 2. They're really pounding it. Final 7.5 minutes of game number 1. This game controlled primarily by the San NEOPHOENIX, but the Golden Kings always capable of a comeback. Short there. Another offensive rebound. Sasaki launches, comes up short as well. Law clears. Looking to come even closer here with this possession. Nice look inside. Jack Cooley. Once he gets inside, he's such a wide body. There's no way he can block him. And he can score with either hand. Now with 6 points. This is what they were worried about. They were able to hold Jack Cooley and his damage to a minimum. But right now here, starting to flex his muscles. Who's going to come up big? And Waba puts up a 3. Will miss fire. They have not been able to hit a long distance shot in the last minute and a half. And the RYUKYU Golden Kings have been chipping away at this lead, which is now just down to 4. With a whole lot of basketball still to be played. Cooley from 17 feet, yes! And the lead's down to 2. The NEOPHOENIX now starting to feel the pressure. The Golden Kings are a veteran-laden squad. They've been there, done that, won championships. San NEOPHOENIX could be called upstarts. I've never been able to make it this late. Almost a 16-second shot clock violation. Game clock, rather. Inside Dudzinski. In and out. Boy, they are really starting to feel the pressure. Here's Law off the switch. Law wants the lead. No. Dudzinski picks that one up. Gets it to Nwaba. Now they're going to try to change the pace of this ball game. Trying to slow it down. They're still ahead. 3 by the youngster. No. Rocky doing everything. Comes up with a defensive rebound there. Here comes Law. They go to Kirk. Kirk will swing it up high. This for the lead. In and out. Kirk. Power move inside. Nope. Cooley's there. And we are tied. We are deadlocked at 76. Cooley says, I've been biding my time. Jack has come up big here. As we get to the 5-minute mark, final 5 minutes, and we are all squared. Final 5 minutes of game number 1. Sasaki will give it back out. Dudzinski. Looks like nobody wants to take a shot. Tsuya will launch. That's offline. Foul will be called on Yoshii. And that foul will put the NEOPHOENIX in the penalty. That will be foul number 4. The NEOPHOENIX have controlled this match essentially 70% of the way. But now without Yante Maten, that's a big ask. Tsuya given a rest. There also is no Sota Ora. He's one of those players who is brave enough to take those outside shots and drive into the land of the Giants. Lost still, almost lost it. A travel's going to be called there on Jack Cooley. Botched possession. The biggest lead of RYUKYU was at 2. The biggest for the San NEOPHOENIX was 13. Who's going to be courageous enough to take the big shots? You got to look for your world imports. Or Sasaki. Nwaba. Flips it up and through. Nwaba with his NBA experience. He's got to be option number 1. 78, 76. RYUKYU will challenge. Will miss. Again, Alex Kirk inside. Comes up short. What a steal. And a chance here in the open court. And Nwaba will bring it up though. Again, they're going to try to look for the best shot available here. Sasaki for 3. No. That was a wild shot there. Lead still at 2 as we approach the final 3 minutes. RYUKYU. He scored so much for his squad here, but they're going to need more, especially without Aluma. Kirk wants to take advantage here. Baby hook works. Tied once again at 78. Let's see if Nwaba tries to create once again. Goes back to his patented floater. And the lead is back up to 2. 20 points now in the contest for Nwaba. Everybody here at the Hamamatsu Arena on the edge of their seats. That was an unforced error. You cannot allow that to happen. And Vic Law says that was all me. Turnover number 11 for the Golden Kings there. Not getting it past the timeline. Approaching the final 2 minutes. Sasaki explodes to the basket. 2 free throws coming up for Ryusei. He saw the opening. Everybody now so worried about where David Nwaba is going to position himself in. And RYUKYU will come up with a personal. Timeout will be called here by Coach Taiyo Kitani. Welcome back to game number 1 between the San NEOPHOENIX and the RYUKYU Golden Kings. Right here at the Hamamatsu Arena. The NEOPHOENIX without Yante Maten, giving Nika Williams extended playing time here. They're up by 2. And Ryusei Sasaki on the line for 2 free throws. 2 minutes and change. First drops for Sasaki. There also is Nosota Ora. Another one of their top playmakers, not to mention one of their top rebounders and scorers in Yante Maten. Seems like will be unavailable for the rest of the afternoon. Sasaki will miss fire. Lead stays at 3. You can try to get it inside. Kurt goes to his stronger side. He will score when he gets that deep inside. It's an easy basket. Lead is down to 1. And maybe for Inwaba once again. Ooh, no foul called. David will bring it closer to the wing. Yoshii for 3. Bang! Talk about trusting your teammates. Yoshii, free at the corner, knocks down that 3. And the advantage is now at 4. A minute and a half remaining in game number 1. Viklo will stop, pop, and hit. He's got 14 points. These are 2 heavyweights taking heavy blows against each other. Who will come out on top in game number 1? We'll find out. Enwaba trying to create here. They leave him open for 3, and he hits a big one. David Enwaba taking over here in the final seconds of game number 1. The lead is 5. A lot of time still remaining in this one here for the Golden Kings. They know it. Jack Cooley comes right back. He was very instrumental in bringing his team back here from that 13-point deficit. They've got possession. Looking inside. Vic Law puts up a 3. That's huge. 17 points now for Vic Law. Cuts the deficit to just 2. Enwaba will slip. Ooh, a foul is going to be called. That's a foul that they had to give though. Vic Law not happy. Look at this shot here. Well, you've got to put a hand in his face. Enwaba let him take that, and he made the defense pay. Both teams now in the penalty. We're going to see how steady these 2 players of both these squads will be in the final 56 as a timeout will be called, this time by the San NEOPHOENIX. 56.0 seconds remaining in game number 1. Possession with NEOPHOENIX. They're up by 2. Dudzinski will not want to challenge. Gets it to Sasaki. Sasaki puts up a 3. Back rims that one. Dudzinski, offensive rebound. Brand new 14 here. But they gotta score. NEOPHOENIX cannot just waste the time. Yoshii will put up a 3. Back rims that one. Nika Williams, extra possession again. If they score here, they could be out of the woods. Dudzinski, deep 3. Rims out, and Nwaba collects. But they're gonna say that touched the baseline. No timeout gonna be called here by Coach Dai. His team down by 2. 12.1 remaining. Ooh, this is a smart play. This is smart. He's asking for a review here. But obviously, they got possession. So this one, if you ask me personally, it's to get an extra timeout. That's an exceptional call here because they've got possession. Obviously, he doesn't need for them to review anything else anyway. This should be their ball, but this gives him an opportunity now to talk to his boys without burning his final timeout. He has 1 remaining. He wants to hold on to that one. And here comes a quick review, as expected. Nobody touched that one, so it will be the ball of the Golden Kings. Well, he also said, let's take a look at the clock. And they will put an additional 1.1 second back. As we said, one of the smartest coaches. Actually, we have 2 of the best bench tacticians here in Dai Okitani and Atsushi Ono. That was brilliant there. He diagrams the play. Let's see though if his players can execute. They gotta go quickly. Wasting a lot of time. That is not the kind of shot that you have wanted. Especially after diagramming it out. And the NEOPHOENIX will escape here with game number 1. That wasn't even a legitimate shot, really, if you ask me. From Vic Law. Wow. It's a great victory for the NEOPHOENIX, but for the Golden Kings, Coach Dai Okitani, he says, I did everything right. You just didn't execute. Game 1 goes to the NEOPHOENIX, 87-85. Stick around. We're going to have interviews, highlights, and then the numbers. just falling short there with the Ryukyu Golden Kings. After being down by 13, they tied things up at 78, and it was nip and tuck the rest of the way until coming up with big shots in the end were the NEOPHOENIX as they take game number 1.
大野ヘッドコーチ、センターの方によろしくお願いします。まずはゲーム1勝利おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
今日の試合を振り返って一言お願いします。
はい、もう本当今日忘れてまた明日チーム一丸となって戦うので、熱い応援よろしくお願いします。
ありがとうございました。続きまして山善プレンスフェニックスヒーロー賞の発表となります。こちらはですね、特に印象に残る選手に贈られる賞となります。前節のね、クォーターファイナルでも素晴らしいプレーも続きました。そしてセミファイナルもですね、選ぶのが非常に大変でした。どの選手もね、本当素晴らしいプレーをしてくれました。その中からですね、まずこの人、要所要所のスリーポイント、17得点、2リバウンド、2アシスト、10番吉井弘隆選手です。さあ、まずゲーム1勝利おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
今日タフなゲームとなりました。試合を振り返って一言お願いします。
はい、琉球さんの強みであるリバウンドだったりとかっていうのは後半やられてしまったところもあるんですけど、まあ、最後までタフに戦い続けて、まあ、やっぱり CS なんで2点差ぐらいでやっぱもうこうシーソーゲームになると思うんで、まあ、勝ちきれたっていうことはでかいかなというふうに思います。
さあ、明日の試合に向けても一言お願いします。
はい、変わらずタフに戦い続けるので応援のほどよろしくお願いします。
ありがとうございました。10番吉井弘隆選手にお伺いしました。続いて、この方のプレーがですね、やはり、勝利に導いたと思います。23得点、6、リバウンド、4アシスト、2番デイビッド・ノーバ選手です。さあ、まずは勝利おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
さあ、タフなゲームとなりました。今日の試合を振り返って一言お願いします。
Yeah, it was a tough game. They're a really good team, big team, but it was important that we rebound, and it was a together game to come out with this win.
はい、本当に琉球さん強い相手で、本当に大きくてリバウンドも強いっていうところが彼らの特徴だと思うんですけれども、しっかりとリバウンドを取り切って勝てたことが本当に良かったと思います。
明日も厳しいゲームとなると思います。明日の試合に向けても一言お願いします。
Just keep on supporting us. You guys were loud tonight, and it's important to see you guys tomorrow, and hopefully we pull out another win.
皆さんの大きな声援で今日もしっかり勝てましたので、明日も引き続きサポートの方よろしくお願いいたします。
2番デイビッド・ノーバ選手にお話をお伺いしました。さあ、続きまして本日の山善プレンスフェニックスヒーロー賞、本日は山善マルチハンドブレンダーこちらの方で DK6 点プレゼントさせていただきます。当選された方はこちらの2名です。当選おめでとうございます。さあ、改めまして本日のヒーロー賞を選ばれました2番デイビッド・ノーバ選手、10番吉井弘隆選手に大きな拍手をお送りください。そして本日の優勝者の発表となります。
As you enjoy the highlights, the comment of Coach Atsushi Ono, very, very simple. He just said today's game was very great. He was happy that they came away with a victory, but he said, we focus on tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, they haven't accomplished anything but got game 1. They have yet to get game 2 because 2 games makes it to the finals. One of today's heroes, Yoshii, came away with so many points, big defensive stops. That's why he was interviewed. And he said it was really Ryukyu's rebounding that was tough. And we talked about that. The rebounding led really by Alex Kirk, their 7-footer, and Jack Cooley, standing 6'10". That's his specialty, getting extra possessions for his squad. He said, but we're happy we won a close game and we will beat RYUKYU tomorrow. That's what he's promising. But again, the big question remains, will Yante Maten be available for the Sana NEOPHOENIX? Not to mention the fact that Sota Ora also went down with a possible rib injury off that hard pick that he got from Vic Law. So 2 key individuals might not be available for the Sana NEOPHOENIX. On the flip side, Kevin Aluma also left this ball game with an apparent ankle injury. So the Golden Kings might be missing another stalwart. They are already missing Ryuichi Kishimoto, who's out with an injury. But without Kishimoto, they battled, and they battled tough. Unfortunately, they would come up short just by 2, losing this one 87-85. Look at those big shots from Vic Law. At the end of the first period, it was Sanen ahead, 24-22. And at the halftime break, it is now RYUKYU up by 1, 45-44. And here in the third, Yoshii went to work. He would eventually finish with 17 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. But David Nwaba was the real hero, scoring-wise, coming up with big shots in the end, not to mention the fact that his game-long brilliance, he scored 10 points in the first quarter alone. He would finish with 23 points, grab 6 rebounds, and also issue out 4 assists. David Dudzinski doing his very best. There you see, battling for the rebounds. He was very instrumental in making sure Jack Cooley had no offensive boards in the first 2 periods. Nice setup there, and Waba with a slam. Dudzinski's numbers, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. That youngster there, you saw Nemoto, helping out his team here with some quality minutes. Not quite sure why you're allowing David and Waba to shoot without any challenge whatsoever. And he made the defense pay. Here's Cooley to tie things up. And then it became the David and Waba show, hitting that jump hook that will give his squad the 1-point lead. Alex Kirk will tie things up once again with this inside incursion. And then the biggest shot. Yoshii at the corner. Then Nwaba getting an open 3. Vic Law went under the pick. You can't do that against Nwaba. But Vic Law would answer right back. Off display. Deep 3. Swish. That got to within 2. But this, the final attempt, wasn't even close. And the Sana NEOPHOENIX will hold tough will hold on and take game number 1 of this best-of-3 semi-final series. To the delight, obviously, of the fans at the Hamamatsu Arena. Look at this. The San NEOPHOENIX with no turnovers in the second half. 6 turnovers added by the Golden Kings, and all those 6 really did them in. Shooting much better from 2-point distance were the Golden Kings. Much better from 3 were the San NEOPHOENIX. Look, they made 8 more threes as compared to RYUKYU. Both teams also going to the free throw line a lot. 20 out of 25 for the NEOPHOENIX and 16 out of 22 for the Golden Kings. Eventually, lording it over as expected in the rebounding department, 51-39, but the Golden Kings were not able to properly convert on all those second chances. Assist-wise, +4 for the NEOPHOENIX at 23 assists as compared to 19 for the Golden Kings. As we're going to check in with the scoring numbers. David Nwaba would finish with 23 points, backed up by Yoshii with 17. And Yante Maten, despite the fact that he did not finish this game, already had 14 points to his name at the time he got injured. Key player matchup. Look at this. Matching Vic Law point for point was Yoshii. So Vic Law would finish with a double-double of 17 points, 14 rebounds. It would still not be enough for his squad. So the top scorers for the Golden Kings, of course, the 17 there for Vic Law, Alex Kirk with 16 and 15 points here for RYUKYU. Alex Kirk also with a double-double because he'd finished with 12 boards. David Dudzinski, the top rebounder for the NEOPHOENIX with 9, 6 for Nwaba, and 5 for Yante Maten. Here are the top 5 scoring leaders. We talked about the top 3. Dudzinski would also add 12. So 4 players in double digits. For San N, Sotaora also left the ball game. He'd contribute 6 before his early exit. In a losing effort, 5 players in double digits for RYUKYU, but it wasn't enough. Lost 17, RYUKYU's 15, Kirk, same. 13 for Aluma, who also left the ball game. So you can see, boy, these 2 squads might not definitely be complete for game number 2, which happens tomorrow at 12 in the afternoon. Sotaora would finish with 5 assists. Could have had a whole lot more if he finished this ball game. 5 assists also for Ryusei Sasaki for the squad of the NEOPHOENIX. RYUKYU would have 6 assists, 5 assists for Arakawa coming off the bench, and Vic Law also contributed with 3 dimes. Biggest lead in the contest here for the San NEOPHOENIX was at 13. The biggest for RYUKYU was at 2. There you can see our playoff bracket as the San NEOPHOENIX take game number 1, 87-85. Till tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us. Till then, have a great afternoon ahead. God bless.